I'm an architect, so I'm slightly intimidated by being surrounded by so many tech people. But what I'm here today to talk about is really about esports and actually esport athletes, and a concept piece that we're working on at the moment for a training center and gaming house. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. So as an architect, my practice, which is called Populous, is probably, as the name suggests, deals with places and spaces and events that lots of people gather in. So anything from Olympic stadiums, like the 120,000 seat stadium for the Sydney Olympics in 2000, through to arena we've just finished in Manila, which is 50,000 seats, so it's enormous, for the two great loves in the Philippines, which is God and the boxer Manny Pacquiao. So a fantastic combination, sometimes easily interchangeable. So really as a practice, I guess, as a sort of a collective of designers, we're not just architects, we're interiors, master planners, landscapers, we work with product designers, design anthropologists. A lot of our work is looking at how we transform physically a lot of our buildings. So the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium we're currently working on, which will be opened later this year for any Spurs fans, deals with this idea of how you can transform space physically. So it's a stadium, 60,000 seats, designed for, obviously, the EPL and soccer, but then which transforms by the pitch sliding out to accommodate American football, which is a growing need, and you see playing at Wembley as we get more and more games. So the ability to sort of move these huge bits of buildings around to reconfigure space. Another project we're working on at the moment with Madison Square Garden, the Sphere project. So we've got two we're developing, currently one in Las Vegas and the other one here in London, which is a music and event venue. So a spherical, sort of 300-meter diameter sphere. And this is taking this idea that Tottenham of moving the physical space, but moving into the digital realm. So this is a space where the building literally becomes part of the event, a 360-degree high-definition screen on the inside, where the building very much becomes part of this total immersive experience where you watch either concerts or events, and that this idea of physical transformation to digital transformation. And that brings us on to esports, which I think takes us one step further, which is really interesting. So esport, for those of you who don't really know, has this, I guess, only been really existing for about 10 years, but the viewership is enormous. It's forecast in 2 years to be about 600 million viewers, with revenues of currently about £500 million, but again, in this 2-year growth, overtaking £1 billion revenue streams. And that, out of sort of almost nowhere, potentially in 2 years will become the second biggest sport in North America. More revenue, more viewers than basketball or baseball. And we know very little about it. It's really interesting. So a lot of projects we're doing at the moment is trying to think about what the spaces are like where these e-game tournaments happen, either physically, where League of Legends grand finals this weekend in Incheon in South Korea, 40,000 seat stadium. What's it like to view that both there as a live audience, but also then this is transferred around the world through Twitch, on YouTube, but then into physical spaces. So a lot of the work we're doing at the moment is looking at what these kind of spaces are like. This is a scheme we're doing for a client in North America, which is looking at an entire esport campus, which is this sort of, I guess, Blade Runner meets Garden City, this 24-hour idea, which clearly esports happens globally around the world, is constantly on, constantly going, and what's it like to be in that kind of space? This is an arena we've just finished in Arlington in Texas, which is the sort of first dedicated esports arena, actually a conversion of a conference center into this idea of a permanent gaming space broadcast studio, which broadcasts e-games around the world. But what we've been looking at, and here's a quick little video, is the idea of how we deal with the e-sport athletes. And the idea very much the cartoon of the kind of geeky kid, boy or girl, who spends hours in front of a game eating fast food and drinking Gatorade or energy drinks. The biggest issue, I guess, really in the development of esports is that the fact that these kids, and they're not all kids, I mean, the average age of a gamer is about 17 to 20, burn out incredibly quickly. So you see these teams, and they're professional teams. The guys are earning 6 and 7 figures. Prize monies are sort of 19, 20 million pounds per tournament. So these guys are earning serious money, but training in the sense where they're probably training somewhere between 12 and 16 hours a day, 6 days a week, generally in a black box, and historically eating fast food and drinking energy drinks. And what's happening is that the esport athletes are burning out incredibly quickly. They've got a lifespan of about 3 to 4 years. So you see serial investors like Mark Cuban investing in esports, but says, I won't buy an esport team because of the longevity of the esport athletes. So really what we've been looking at, and I'm going to talk over in the lab stage, is how you can create an environment, much the way we deal with our premiership footballers, create the kind of conditions that they can train and play in, but also really the health, wellness, and actually the mental wellness that you deal with these esport athletes to give them longevity, and as we grow, become a more permanent fixture in our sporting calendar to create better athletes, healthier, happier. So yeah, so 20 past, I think, over the live stage. Thank you very much.